remember the days when someone could be wrong. I remember the days when thinking out loud won't get you shot down. I remember the ways we used to call out, hey, hey, hey. So don't forget to call on me to disagree. So don't forget to call on me to disagree. You now reduce them to the evil you once agreed. You now reduce them to be silenced you once agreed. So don't forget to call on me to disagree. So don't forget to call on me, yeah, to disagree. Your ship is sailing on. I see you on the horizon. Your ship is sailing on. I see you sailing on the horizon. Call on me when you wanna disagree. Please call on me when you wanna disagree. You now reduce them to be silenced you once agreed. You and I are predetermined nonsense, and that's okay. You and I have predetermined consequence, and that's okay. And that's okay.
guys, can you hear me?
Destiny, and that's okay, and that's okay. Yeah. Closing sale, everything must go, nothing left behind, no wild oats to sow. So out of my way, I'm done now. You see, you took the meat, but not my bones. Now throw away your key. 1 foot out the door, persistent. You are frozen in time. Oh, I love you slips out of my mind. So sail, set sail, a little bird. Just go and set sail. Set sail, set sail, a little bird. Go and set sail. I'll take my ship away as the storm rolls in. I hope the wind is with me, and I hope you've learned that the pirate within me is sworn to the truth. Live or die by this rule. Set sail, set sail, little bird. Now come on, just set sail. Set sail, set sail, little bird. Now I want you to set sail. Set sail, set sail, oh, little bird. Now I want you to set sail. Don't forget to lose your mind tonight. Just watch me. Hello, hello. Don't you think about responsibilities. Just feel what you want. Feel what you want tonight. Tonight. I want you to say how you feel. I want you to tell me I'm no good. We'll send you on your way if you say so. You try to, but you see me staring back at you. I'm staring back at you. So have another dance with me, my dear. Move your hips like this. It's clear it falls down. I want you to say how you feel. I want you to tell me I'm no good. Well, don't you look back, you will miss me. Don't look back, I'm standing under the street light at night. Don't you look back, try to forget. Yeah. So just walk to me, my dear. Look inside me, and it's clear I'm a better man than him. I'm a better man than him. Then time stops. I want you to say how you feel. I want you to tell me I'm no good. Well, don't you look back, you will miss me. Don't look back, I'm standing under the street light at night. Don't you look back, try to forget. Yeah. So just walk to me, my dear. Look inside me, and it's clear I'm a better man than him. I'm a better man than him. Then time stops.
All right, my dudes, we are live. Welcome, welcome. Welcome back. Let me know that you can hear me nice and clearly. We got lots to get to today. I've been going at it on Twitter with Jeff Patterson, who's a journalist here in Canada. We've been going back and forth on... I'm being critical of his messaging when he's talking about, sexual assault allegations and... how we have to be careful not to lead people to believe that there is, evidence that we have no evidence of yet when it comes to, things that are pre-trial or have not been thoroughly investigated and released to the public yet. So if you want to check out what's going on there, you can go to Twitter. I'll get into it in a little more detail here. I wanted to remind you guys, the Celebration of Science and Reason tour is on sale. The tickets are on sale. For Vancouver, you can get a ticket for I think as low as $14 or $16. So we want everyone to come out and enjoy the event. Get your tickets early. There is a chance that ticket prices might be adjusted as we move along and try to feel out what COVID is doing, but more importantly, how mandates shape around what COVID's doing. So be prepared for anything, including postponements. We hope that doesn't have to happen, but let's get together and celebrate science and reason. There's a lot of people shitting on science out there. well, enjoying their Blackberries and do people use Blackberries anymore? Enjoying their iPhones and enjoying their new fancy computers. Everyone who donated to the new Pangburn computer that's going to last us easily 10 years. Don't have to fuck around and fundraise for this main piece of equipment for 10 years. We're going to be able to live stream to, once I get everything set up, we're going to be able to live stream to all platforms at the same time. It is an Alienware Aurora 14, the new Alienware desktop. It's awesome. Bal Diablo says, computers equal authorities don't lie! ! Logic and reason. Yeah, I didn't make that claim. But Joshua Smith says science is fake news. Middle finger. Can you imagine? Science is fake news. What a claim. So Joshua, you might want to look at all of the things that you use that required scientific inquiry, required an understanding of what is actually going on in reality for those things to be able to function and work. You know, the car you drive, you know, the building you are sitting in. Science is fake news. I think people like Joshua get mad at like some scientists who try to make like discoveries political. And yeah, I'm no fan of that. Thanks for the likes, guys. Keep dropping them. Like I said, we got a lot to go over to. Joshua says the moon landing never happened. You fucking troll. Love you too, Ball. Always keeping me on my toes. So let's go through. So Jeff Patterson, he is a host of the Rink-Wide podcast and daily Canucks reporter, the Vancouver Canucks hockey team, on Seekers and Price show. Okay. So he's if you go to gogo@sports.com, you can check him out, or he's on Instagram. Anyways, him and I started going back and forth here. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at the Pangburn. I'm not on that platform a lot, but I am there sometimes, and I very rarely get into these. But so there's been a sexual assault allegation towards a hockey player, and what I'm seeing is a lot of people just throwing this young guy under the bus. And just, you know, thinking that these allegations mean that he's guilty. Like they're saying like, oh, I bought my kid, a Jake Virtanen jersey. That's who we're talking about, by the way, Jake Virtanen. And now I have to cut it up or throw it away, or now my kid can't wear it, or, you know, they're already going to this level, and this hasn't been to court yet. He hasn't had his day in court. This is a real problem when shit like this happens. People just start believing, believing this stuff. So this journalist tweeted out the, what the statement was by the Vancouver Canucks, the organization. And then I piped up because I saw people were starting to throw this kid under the bus already, and said, here's one. Ugh. I actually encouraged my son to cheer for this guy. We even met him to get some autographs a couple seasons ago. Now my boy won't even look at the jersey. Glad I didn't waste money on a frame. Nothing's been demonstrated yet. Hello? So I pipe up in the tweets. I don't know how to say this. I said, has the crime been demonstrated yet? People are speaking as though he's been found guilty. And Jeff Patterson pops in and says, he's been charged today. Yep. So he's been charged today. He'll have his day in court. Yes. The allegation doesn't need to be proven outside of court. Yeah, no one said that. I don't know what that is. But clearly, Crown feels enough evidence to proceed. This is where I have a problem. He says, but clearly, Crown feels enough evidence to proceed. Then he says, now up to the courts to decide. It's called process. Like, try to get to my level, bitch. Something like that. He's getting at. My response was, you don't know what the Crown feels or has. That's sloppy and could mislead a reader into thinking that there is proof. Then he says, I know, or wait, I want to make sure. He says, I know the Crown has laid a charge. Yes, correct. Nothing sloppy in reporting that. Beyond that, I'll let the process run its course. He's been charged and will have to answer to that. That's how it works. So he didn't respond to what my critique was. Then I said again, you don't know what the Crown feels or has. Why did Twitter do that? Oh yeah, you don't know what the Crown feels or has is what I claimed. And then I quoted him to say, but clearly Crown feels enough evidence to proceed. And then I ended the quote and I said, you don't know that, and it isn't clear. Then he said, well, I do know that, he says, well, I do know that Crown feels it has enough to lay a charge. Crown laid a charge. I'm not going around and around on this. A charge has been laid. We'll see where it goes. He's trying to get rid of me. Then I said, you don't know that. Because he said, I do know that Crown feels it has enough to lay a charge. So I said, you don't know that. They may feel they do not have enough, but are still willing to try for other reasons. This is why I described your original tweet as sloppy. And then he responds with, muted, see ya, and then his followers like it. And then I just say, why? Should journalists also study philosophy, argument, logic, knowledge, belief? Should this be something that journalists are educated more in? Maybe this would lead to people not being as sloppy with what they say. They stick to what they know and they understand what they know. They don't just jump to conclusions or use misleading language. I think it's a problem in journalism. We have these truckers moving across Canada right now. Let me pull up, let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got. Trucker convoy against vaccine mandates rolls through Ontario en route to Ottawa. Organizations that oversee Ontario Canadian truckers have come out against the protests. A convoy of truckers opposed to COVID-19 vaccine mandates is making its way through southwestern Ontario on Thursday, bringing traffic headaches while drawing scorn from some and praise from others. Hundreds of people gathered in London at a local truck stop and on an overpass across Highway 401, waiting for the convoy to arrive from Windsor and Sarnia, the region's two border points with the United States. People waved flags and drank coffee as the convoy's arrival was delayed, in part due to a serious collision earlier in the morning. Closed the eastbound lanes of the earlier in the morning that closed the eastbound lanes. So there's some road issues happening due to this. Someone's claim here or quote is quote, I worked for 2 years to bring goods and services and toilet paper and everything to everyone. We went through having no showers, no bathrooms, no food. We starved some days for days on end on the road. And nobody cared about us then. And now all of a sudden they care, said convoy trucker Bridget Belton, who owns and operates her own rig running food products and containers between Canada and the U.S. Quote, my husband and I spend 269 days a year away from each other, away from home, working for Canada to bring their goods and services to market and to bring goods and services to Canadians. This is an article at cbc.ca, by the way, titled Trucker Protest Convoy, Southwestern Ontario. The protest is being organized by Canada Unity, a group that opposes COVID-19 related measures. its organizers want Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his government to drop the vaccine mandate for truckers crossing the Canada-US border and do away with other public health protections. The convoy was to meet up with others from across Canada on Saturday in Ottawa for a large demonstration. There's a video here as well if you guys want to take a look at that. They've been met with supporters. Ontario Provincial Police say they are aware of the protest and plan to make sure truckers, supporters, and other drivers are safe. That's great news. Trucking groups oppose Convoy. The Canadian Trucking Alliance and the Ontario Trucking Association, OTA, have both come out against the convoy, saying 90% of cross-border truckers are vaccinated. So that's an important thing to remember. This isn't like all the truckers in the world are getting together and making a demonstration, right? The government of Canada and the United States have now made being vaccinated a requirement. And of course, if it just looking at that so nothing slips by, just because 90% of the cross-border truckers are vaccinated, some of those people may actually be out supporting this campaign, right? So we need more information than that simply on the amount of support. Urge people lining on highways and overpasses in support of the convoy to be aware of their surroundings and to keep safe. That's good. So main thing I want to say about this is, of course, I support, everyone's right to peaceful protest here in Canada. Keep it peaceful. Don't break the law. If you start breaking the law and harming others, destroying public property, private property, you're just as bad as Antifa and Black Lives Matter. If you start doing that, then you're just as bad as those organizations. And yes, Antifa is an organization. You can go to their fund that they collectively reserve to help people in court cases. You can just Google that. Looks like Sean says he supports the truckers 100%. I think my feeling is, my message to them is to go get vaccinated, go get boosted. It's good for your health. It's the good thing to do for your health, based on my moral foundation, maximize well-being for myself and those around me. However, of course, freedom is good for their well-being as well, freedom of expression, and I 100% support their right to protest freely, safely, and lawfully. Don't start breaking the law. If you see something happening, call the police. I will make sure that if there are some bad eggs causing a ruckus amongst this thing, that doesn't mean everyone involved in this protest or in support of it is okay with violence or whatever might occur. We'll make sure to sift through that nonsense. But yeah. All right. This Jake Virtanen thing, I'm going to see if I can get him to come on, and I would like to hear his side of the story of what has occurred here, if he wants to chat with someone, because we gotta continue to have a voice for people who have had crimes alleged against them, but there's been no demonstration, yet. Humanity has to start figuring out a better way to deal with the people who have allegations against them, and to make sure that we don't engage in bias on things that could very well be untrue, right? And here's how I deal with this moral dilemma. If someone comes forward and says, I've been sexually assaulted, you treat that person as though they have been victimized and sexually assaulted. You treat them that way. You treat them the way that they are claiming they have been assaulted. But that doesn't mean you have to believe the truth of what they are saying. And you shouldn't until something is demonstrated. And look, maybe at some point, like they'll have like say you're their father, and they talk to you, and they're telling you believe they're telling you the truth. You're going to have justification to believe what they're telling you. I'm talking as a third party outside looking at this. So you treat that person as though they have gone through this. Give them everything they need in order that they would need if this had actually happened to them, and maybe it has. But you do not treat the accused party as guilty, or even start alluding to it at all. You don't have a fucking clue what's going on yet. So say if someone asks you, what do you think about Jake Virtanen? Oh, I don't know. I mean, we're going to have to see what's demonstrated. What's wrong with saying that as opposed to, well, I've heard some things about Jake Virtanen, he used to party and stuff. It doesn't surprise me. Idiots. Doesn't surprise me. Drinking, there's been evidence that he's a big partier. Doesn't surprise me. No. Go back to logic school. Go back to reasoning school, rationalization. That thing that about them does not equal that they have committed a crime. Remember to drop a like, guys, when you get into the room. Keep the chat rolling. I'll get to your guys' chat. Okay, we talked about that. Let's bring Andy in. I got lots of things I want to talk to Andy about. Ladies and gentlemen, the comedian from down under your pants, Andy Rovere.
Huh? What?
Did you just wake up? Your eyes are smaller.
No. I think they're the normal size. Thank you.
Right. Joshua, we actually did touch on Prince Andrew a couple episodes back.
That might have been like the second episode.
Yeah, I think it was episode 2. You'll have to head over to the Pangburn Offensive channel to see it, because we did discuss that.
Real quick, my opinion on that, real quick, guilty.
Yeah, Andy thinks he's guilty, and then I ask him, what proof do you have of that? He doesn't have any. Yeah, but you can't just point to the flight logs or pictures and say, there it is. Right?
Travis.
Well, okay, do you want to get into this again? What?
No, but I will leave it at that is circumstantial evidence.
What is circumstantial? Yeah, it's evidence. I was talking about proof, brother. Different thing.
I don't even believe in proof. So there's
oh my God. Someone fucking throw this guy out. Okay, anyways, first of all, Andy, I want to know your honest opinion of my new haircut.
It looks good.
Does it? I think it looks decent. I look somewhat less homeless.
I mean, it's not as good as mine, but who it is,
Yeah. Now I get to talk about your haircut. What would you look like with short hair, by the way? That would look kind of weird, I think.
I have my old high school picture from senior year.
Please show
when I was really short. Yeah, let me see if I can find. I think I still have it somewhere. And actually, I think cutting it that short actually permanently stunted it. It used to be much longer, and now it just won't grow back to its former glory.
Yeah, Scott says you need a mullet. I couldn't agree more.
I have such an awkward look on my face.
Oh, dude, you look like a Letterman, like an athlete in that. You like that photo of yourself?
if he said, I don't think so.
I think you like it.
I have it still because it's like nostalgia from high school. And what's kind of funny about it, I was looking at it the other day and I turned it over and I saw this.
National Suicide Prevention Lifeline.
And like, I don't remember that being there. And
oh, man.
And I hope I'm not the only one who got that.
Okay, Andy, let's cut the shit for 2 seconds. So you heard me talking about this Jake Virtanen athlete? There's a claim against him. We had a bit of a conversation in the tavern before we jumped on here, but how do you think we best, based on your moral foundation, your moral outlook, whatever the fuck you want to call it, how do you think we should deal with these claims? Do you agree with me, or do you think I got something wrong?
No, I think you're right. We need to seriously consider any allegation made, but that does not involve blindly and dogmatically believing whoever makes the claim. Because the simple claim being made doesn't mean it's true. You could be wrong. You could be lying even. These things happen. In fact, I would even wager to guess that people are more often wrong about something or lying about something than they are getting raped. Like, statistically speaking. Maybe not about rape, but generally people are wrong and don't get raped that often.
Do you think,
that's, at least in this part of the world?
So you're suggesting that, there's a. Do you think, Andy? We can get into this. Do you think there's a confusion, perhaps, about the rules of engagement, the legal rules of engagement in the bedroom? What I mean by that is, do you think people out there think that someone has to get verbal consent to do something sexually to the other person? And I'm talking specifically.
No.
Like if you smack, like if you grab a girl's ass on the dance floor when you're dancing in a loud club, and if she says no, of course you should fucking back off with that shit. But is it wrong to go for that? Your answer?
No, I don't think so. I think if you I think if people are in an environment where it seems like that could be, like, if you're in the bedroom with somebody, I mean, I personally, if I was in if we take the dance floor environment, I wouldn't do that. But I'm also never in that environment, so I don't know if I can talk about that. But if I was in the bedroom with somebody, yeah, I'm not going to ask for affirmative verbal consent for everything I do. I'm going to try and work within what seems right. And if they tell me no, then I know from that it's not right. And there are some people who say, no, you have to have verbal consent for every single thing you do. I've seen that. And the type of people who ask for that, exactly what you're picturing, Travis. And look, if that works for them, that works for them. But if I don't know that until after the fact, and then you're going to accuse me of something, I think that's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, I'm just so Mace put it. Here's one thing you guys have to realize in the chat. Some of these, some of these jokes we might make about the topic of rape, YouTube is going to see that, and it's not going to care if you meant it as a joke, right? So we do have to, like, since we're on YouTube's platform, we do have to be careful with the jokes we type, because the algorithm will literally see that. It picks up certain things, and there's certain topics that YouTube is very sensitive to. So we got to be careful.
Right. It's probably not going to like the title of this episode because it has the name of that guy.
Jake Virtanen. Yeah, I think I spelled his name right. So all I want for someone like Jake is a fair shake, and his day or days in court. And people should
there's a presumption of innocence.
People should say, like, I'm going to wait and see what happens and let the process play out, right?
I'm gonna let you take this one, Travis. I'm not sure because I think I agree, but I'm not sure if I should show this.
I got it under control. I was just keeping an eye
on it. Well, I'm not sure if this is a Canadian case.
Yeah, it's Jake Virtanen. It's all over the news. Yeah.
So in Canada, I assume you also have a presumption of innocence, correct?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So legally, you have that presumption of innocence, but socially, in a lot of circles, socially, there's a presumption of guilt when you're being accused of something like this. And that's messed up.
Yeah, it's beyond messed up, and that can easily be weaponized.
Because anyone could be accused. Anyone could be accused. You could be accused, and it could be false, and it'll be assumed to be correct simply because the claim was made.
This has happened to me publicly. I don't want to get into the specifics, but this has happened to me as well, in major news organizations printing things that are incorrect about me, based on the allegations of one party. It's that shit needs to end.
Any type of allegation.
Yeah. And then the other thing, what do you think of this trucker rally? Do you think this is going to be an effective protest? They're driving to Ottawa to, drive up to the doorstep of the Prime Minister. They don't want vaccine requirements for truckers that are moving across the Canada and U.S. border.
I'm not sure. I think I'm just going to have to upset both sides on this because I'm not entirely positive how I feel about that.
Do you believe that they should have the right to protest this way as long as it's peaceful?
Oh, yeah, of course. You should have the right to protest. Yeah. Obviously.
Yeah. Okay.
As long as it's peaceful, in which case.
Yeah, they're obstructing.
A non-peaceful protest is a riot. So
yeah, it's causing some road obstructions, which I don't like. They should be finding a way to do this where it's not doing that, because we need our roads functioning. We're also in the middle of a pandemic where lots of people are getting hospital rides and all that stuff. We need to keep our roads open, and functioning.
Well, it's just like free speech and other freedom of expression, where you have the right to do it, but there's still
you can't shut down roads.
Like you have a right to protest, but there's still a shitty way to protest. Like there's still a way where you're not going to reach people and all you're doing is causing a disruption. And it's the same thing about freedom of speech, where you have the right to say things.
Yeah. And that doesn't
mean you should say anything to anyone.
I agree with Mace here. Actually, riots are called, quote, mostly peaceful protests nowadays.
Yeah, fiery but peaceful.
Dude,
yeah,
totally correct, Mace.
Our friends over at CNN, the Cunty News Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, Andy Rovere. And then what do you call Fox News?
Fox News, the fucking obviously xenophobic.
Oh my god.
But it's not it's crazy like a fox, I guess. You got him, yeah.
Well, those are the things on my mind that I wanted to talk about. I don't know what's going on Twitter. Maybe I'll take a quick look to see if I have any update. Oh, by the way, at the end of that exchange, yeah, I told you guys, but he muted me.
Yeah. Maybe it was maybe it was a long day at the office, Travis, and he just got home. His wife burnt the roast.
He had something
taking it out on. He's taking it out on you. I don't know.
Yeah, but what I was, people get really, really when someone criticizes their argument, right? If it's done in good faith, And
I will say though,
like, well,
it's really
what's the
hard
problem?
to tell. It's really hard to tell by text, at least for me, and I'm
It can
sure for
be.
a lot of people, like what is good faith and what is like they're just being sarcastic or not. Because you can't hear their voice, you can't hear their tone, you can't see their face, and you don't know them. Like, so I can kind of empathize if he doesn't know. You shouldn't assume that they're being bad faith, and even if you think they are,
No,
you
yeah.
shouldn't try.
Well, I think yeah. We have to afford someone as well. We have to only hold them to their words, not what we think their words are trying to say. That's
Right.
that's the big one.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah, we can't try and like read the words and then try to insert like an implication that they're having, or
Right.
so like try to imagine that they're saying it a certain way.
Exactly. Like people's
Because you don't know that. You don't know that. You just think that they might be doing that, and you can't prove that.
I've been really thinking a lot and meditating a lot on the problem of inference today. Like how many people have their inference meter tuned to cynicism? Like,
Well, that's why so many people called Trump a racist all the time.
Yeah.
Because they inferred from
like,
his
well,
stance
obviously
on
he
immigration.
means this. It's like,
Yeah.
no, that's not
No.
obvious.
Like, look, could he be? Sure. Is he? No, not really. You can't verify that in the way you're standing up on a soapbox and passionately screaming this guy is racist, and for what? Because he has immigration policies that you don't like. That's not inherently racial by any means.
Right. Trucker, convoy, protest, and more. I just haven't shared the show on Facebook yet today, so.
But I will say I'm not particularly fond of Donald Trump. He's a bit of a he can be entertaining.
I mean, Donald Trump is the world's greatest troll, right?
Yeah,
like,
he can
and
definitely
I don't mean that
be
in a derogatory manner. I just be like, he is the king of trolls. He can make people need to talk about him. That's how good of a troll he is.
He can definitely be entertaining, but like,
oh, he's actually a really funny guy. Like, I actually think he's hilarious.
In hindsight, it's really not shocking at all that
the fact that he called
in hindsight, it's not surprising.
The fact that he called what's her name Pocahontas.
That whole situation is still funny to me, because she would always talk about how she has Native American roots, and then it turns out, because a lot of white people in America have Native in their background, but it turns out she actually has less than the average white person. So I'm more of a Native than she is. You're probably also more of a Native or First Nations, as you people say in your made up Canadian words.
Screw you. Oh, actually, I'm gonna hashtag Jake Virtanen. Jake Virtanen.
Okay, we got two interesting things from Bale.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Bale says, like, inferring deaths from COVID with COVID are deaths from COVID. Like, inferring deaths with COVID are deaths from COVID. And then he says, Trump equals Simon Cowell. If you don't like Simon Cowell, you don't like Trump.
Interesting.
I don't know if I get that one. And then May says, Donald Trump is a hero. He deserves the Nobel Peace Prize for his diplomatic accomplishments. He literally saved us all from World War III multiple times. I don't know about that. Although I guess he was cool with
Yeah, Sean says Trump was not that bad. Joe Biden sucks though. What's the worst thing, Sean, that Joe Biden has done so far? I'm interested in what you would cite. Is it his handling of the mandates, where we're at with COVID? Is that the big one?
Oh, and our friend Doolittle, he wanted me to mention something that I didn't read about this, but I did see it. It did appear in my news feed, my little app, and we could both probably look it up quickly if you wanted to, or you might already know about this. But it basically sounds like Biden wants what would kind of amount to a diversity hire for the Supreme Court. So like he said some crap like oh, we gotta have a black woman, and it's like, no, we need the most competent person, and that could potentially be a black woman. We don't start with it needs to be a black woman. That's ridiculous.
Hey, Lexicon, who's our guest in a little bit, said Afghanistan. That pulling out of Afghanistan was the most retarded thing I've ever seen. It had to have been the most retarded thing I've ever seen. Just like, who planned that?
Do you know why Biden pulled out of Afghanistan?
That?
He pulled out because he found out it was over 18.
Oh fuck, Andy, I'm gonna beat you. Sean says his handling of mandates for sure. His diversity hiring is not good either. I agree with both of those because we should, we've given everyone the chance to get vaccinated and we're pumped up. I'm double vaxxed. I got my booster. Open it up, folks. We've all had our opportunity to do it. Once everyone has their opportunity to get vaccinated or not, you open her up, get back to business. Yes, so handling of mandates for sure. Yes, his diversity hiring is not good either. Yes, it sucks. But the withdrawal from Afghanistan tops the whole shit cake. I agree with Sean Sullivan with an excellent take. I agree. Andy, do you agree?
Let's see. Yeah, that looks about right to me.
Okay.
Although, what more could we have done in Afghanistan?
Ensure a safe exit. You have to.
And
no matter what kind level of force it takes to make that happen, to ensure a safe exit, you do that.
Oh yeah, and the Hunter Biden thing.
What is that? What is this?
Hunter Biden being a sussy individual. That doesn't have to do with his father too much, though. Although I think he might have covered for him. Maybe, I don't know.
I think.
To be frank with you guys.
What?
To be frank with you guys, it has been so. I've just been checked out of politics for like for years now.
Well, what good are you to me then? No, I'm kidding.
I find the other
Andy, I'm the same when it comes to politics for the most part.
I used to be like way more interested in it. I used to be in like this conservative phase, and I was subscribed to the Daily Wire, Steven Crowder. I used to watch all that, and that was how I kept up to date with that. So it's kind of funny. I never really watched Fox News, but I would turn Fox News on and then mute it just to have it, just so it's getting the views from our house. I did that as kind of like take that, mom.
A troll to your mom.
Yeah, yeah.
You're such a nasty little fuck, aren't you?
when you get on my bad side, yeah.
Don't get on his bad side. There's a really good song.
True. I was
band from
when I first went through my my conservative phase. I was a real asshole about it because I didn't understand like how you need to be civil when you're having discourse all the time.
Right.
So if somebody if I was talking to my mother and she said something that was bullshit, I would interrupt and be like, not true.
Oh, Andy.
Yeah, well, that's annoying, and I got that from the people I would watch. So It's not my fault, actually. But I was an impressionable youth. You can't blame me.
I think it might be your fault.
No, it's my fault. Yeah. Should have been able to judge not to do that. Yeah. Hold on a second.
So why don't you throw us some news? What's going on in the world, my man?
All right. Well, I want to get to this because we were unable to get to it last time.
Yeah.
And that is whale anatomy.
Dude, did you get this from my my post on the Pangburn Science Network?
No, I
Or is
got
this
this
just-
from my own. I got this from
Oh,
my
shit.
news feed. I'm not sure if maybe it's the same article, maybe not.
Okay.
But I was able to come up with some jokes for it. And in hindsight, now that I'm looking at them, not sure if they're that good.
It's all about the delivery, man. I'm telling you.
Okay, well, okay, but disclaimer: don't hate me.
I'll probably hate you. Anyway,
Or do. So you ever wonder why?
You know
whales-
what? The way that you've started this off, I already hate you, so you can't go anywhere but up.
Yeah, no, that maybe, yeah. Or are you just rooting against? I don't know. So you ever wonder why whales don't drown when they eat krill?
Why they don't drown?
Yeah. So in 10 seconds, a baleen whale can down over 500 bathtubs worth
Okay,
of ocean water.
Okay, no, why?
Well, this isn't the joke. This is the opening of the topic.
I'm gonna fucking flip this table.
So when they do this, they filter out roughly 10 kilograms of krill, and all this takes is opening their mouth. And how much water they take in, that reminds me of how you, Travis, can down over 500 bathtubs of semen in 10 seconds.
That's the best. Like that's the best. Like yeah, it's funny. I like it. It's not horrible, but
So the question remains though, for whales, how do they do this without flooding their lungs? So several fin whales, Balaenoptera physalis, have been dissected, revealing a fatty muscular sac that stops the species from choking. And sadly, Travis, this is not the same kind of sac that you are so infatuated with. This actually prevents choking. So when the whale opens its mouth to feed, this sac swings upwards and plugs the lower respiratory tract.
right.
So no such mechanism has been spotted in any other animal, but authors think it's probably present in other lunge-feeding whales or rorquals like humpbacks, blue whales, and Travis Pangburn's mother.
You crossed the line. You crossed the line, boy.
And based on I know I'm being a little shit. Based on the structure of the orbital plug sac, it's fun to say that viscerally. Zoologist Kelsey Gill and her colleagues at the University of British Columbia, Canada, think it functions similar to a railroad switch. So when the whale breathes, the plug pops up and it opens up the lower respiratory tract.
Oh, okay.
But then when a whale feeds, the plug completely blocks the pathway. And humans, on the other hand, we have a flap of tissue called the epiglottis, which covers the path to the lungs when we're eating, so we don't just inhale it. And I guess that's the wrong pipe that water sometimes goes down when we're drinking.
Yeah.
And we start to choke it, it kind of bypasses it. And when whales breathe through their blowholes, the fatty plug has to swing back and up.
I'll tell you what a
Shutting off
blowhole's not for, son. And when I do, you'll know why we can never go back to SeaWorld.
Yeah. I've been rewatching Family Guy on Hulu. And I tell you, I know you don't like this, but it will start to fall off after season 3. That's when it starts to fall off, in my opinion. In my opinion, at least. At the very least, it starts. But anyway, so when they breathe through their blowholes, the fatty plug has to swing back up, and it shuts off the path to the whale's upper blowhole while opening up the esophagus for swallowing. And when this happens, the sheer force of water pushes the whale's tongue back against the epiglottis, sealing the lower airway as well. So despite all these details about anatomy and function, there are still some mysteries about these whales.
I mean,
Like,
Zeus,
really simple.
Zeus was really thinking when he designed this.
It's true. Wouldn't it be Poseidon?
Yeah, I guess.
I heard Poseidon created the horse, according to myth. I'm not sure why the horse, but anyway.
Also,
for
the
example,
horse shit. Oh,
I mean, I guess indirectly, yeah. For example, we don't really know how they blow bubbles, or whether or not they burp or hiccup. And the authors of this study really want to watch a baleen whale eat and breathe in real time. And they say that to do that, they would need to create a camera that it can swallow. But one researcher actually contests this idea, saying, if we want to see a whale eat so badly, why not just have dinner with Travis Pangburn? I wanted to read that in a Norm Macdonald voice.
So we got these
We
whales.
want to see a whale eat so badly.
I'm gonna put something in their mouth, you know, to
that's kind of weird.
Them. You know, a whale.
Isn't that kind of strange?
Yeah. You know.
So, to whom it may concern, by the way, the whales that were dissected were not caught for scientific purposes, but performed on specimens they were acquired from a commercial whaling operation in Iceland in 2015 and 2018, where fin whales have thankfully not been killed in the last few years.
Unless you really like whale meat.
I guess I guess you're someone in the audience who's like, no, fuck the whales. I want to eat the whales.
I've had whale jerky. It was good. I had it in Alaska. Okay, cool. That's cool about whales. Hey, let me add this thing. If you guys are on Facebook, make sure you search for the Pangburn Science Network. That's where I share, you know, any hard science stuff.
We got a wise guy in the chat, Travis.
Oh yeah,
belittling my news story. I'm watching you, Steve.
Steve. Of course, his name's Steve.
Then I get
that. Where is it now? I have to scroll down. Oh yeah. When whales walked on four legs, from Natural History Museum UK. I want to give you guys this. Check out this article, you guys. I'm just going to give you guys a few little things from it.
That is an interesting fact.
Early ancestors of the ocean's biggest animals once walked on land. Follow their extraordinary journey from shore to sea. Although whales are expert swimmers and perfectly adapted to life underwater, these marine mammals once walked on four legs. Their land-dwelling ancestors lived about 50 million years ago. Meet
they look like big mice.
A goat-sized four-legged creature that scientists recognize as one of the first cetaceans. I think that's right. Is saying that right? The group of marine animals that includes dolphins and whales. How Pachycetus descendants evolved into whales is one of the most intriguing evolutionary journeys known to science. I gave you guys the link there. I'm gonna share my screen so you guys can see kind of what these things look like. What up, Keith? Welcome. Let me share my screen.
Whale evolution is interesting.
Yeah, dude.
The Pachycetus. It was like, because it's kind of like a dog, but it also looks like a mouse.
Check this out, you guys. This is just kind of the artist depiction. So don't go sharing this like it's the actual photo of the creature. We went back to the time machine. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Anyways, a lot of great articles. naturalhistorymuseum.co.uk.
What's your favorite whale, Travis? Bale Diablo wants to know.
My favorite whale is definitely the blue whale. It's the biggest creature that has ever lived on this planet, right?
Are you sure it's not the sperm whale? You sure that's not
your favorite?
That is my favorite.
Andy, you are obsessed with sperm, semen, males, nut sacks, penises. You're obsessed with it. So many of your jokes. You don't make many jokes. You don't make many jokes about vaginas or you're fixated on the male anatomy.
I'll try because that's vulgar, Travis.
Okay, I'm gonna fill up my water. You entertain the audience for like 1 minute.
I will say that the sperm whale is actually the best kind of whale for me because it's the easiest to draw. In cartoons, those are the ones you always see. Okay, everyone, it's my show now. So Travis was talking to me, and he said that he secretly believes in God deeply. He believes in the Christian God. He is a Christian, born again. He said he has seen the light, and the only reason why he's not spreading the word, the gospel, is because he's shy about it. But it's true. If anybody has any questions for me, okay, we can do a brief little Ask Me Anything, I guess, if you guys are interested. And I'll answer. He has a deep fear of hell. I think that's correct, Bale. I think that's correct. He told me the same thing, made me swear not to tell any of his friends. It's a fact. It's a fact. Oh, hey, Travis. What's how you doing?
Oh, nothing. Just wondering. So, did I miss anything?
Oh no, we were just, it's not fun without you around,
Yeah. I know you missed me.
Yeah.
I assume everything you said was truthful, so we'll just move on.
Oh, yeah. You can't have it any other way,
So
the truth will set you free. Even you might even say that.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, we talked about whales, gave people some interesting stuff to look at. What else you got?
This is a story I don't think you're gonna like as much. Maybe not. Cannabis use produces persistent cognitive impairments.
Did you get this? Oh, you got this from Doolittle's post.
No, did I? I found this in my newsfeed. Maybe it's the same story, but I got this off of.
I'm glad you brought this up because I want to go through this. I
got this off Neuroscience News.
Why do you think I wouldn't like this?
Well, because you smoke weed, and I don't know how Joe Rogan you are about it, so I don't know.
Yeah, no. Andy, have you not known me long enough to understand how I feel about how I feel about the scientific method and what we can discover by engaging with it? Okay.
I haven't known anyone long enough to understand anything about them ever.
Dingle hop.
I'm a robot that way.
Okay, so let me pull. I want to get this article up. I know Doolittle posted it. I think it was in Science. Are
we sure it's the same article?
I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. For those of you who are not familiar with Discord, I am scrolling through our Discord server right now. Make sure you join us. We have a lot of fun on Discord. We have conversations happening all the time. You can always jump into an interesting conversation, be a part of our community. This is the best way to do it, by joining Discord.
It's a great community. There's plenty of
Doolittle said, "Give me a sec while I go eat some edibles."
Go eat some edibles.
Edibles, yeah.
And hopefully.
Okay, where did he post that in medicine, I think?
Can I read the notes that I got for this?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll find that.
So this was on Neuroscience News, and their source was the Society for the Study of Addiction, and a systematic review found that cannabis use leads to acute cognitive impairments that may continue past the point of intoxication. So
did you say,
I think
can you say that again? Did you say can lead to or leads to?
A systematic review found that cannabis use leads to acute cognitive impairments that may continue past the point of intoxication.
Okay.
And the way they word that is a little bit strange to me, because that may continue past the point of. So are they saying that for the benefit of people who are like, well, obviously it gets you high?
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's some weird language there. So Yeah. Do you have anything, any more there, or is that just
Yeah.
the conclusion? Or
No. I just thought that was a little strange. But the Canadian-led meta review that merged the findings of 10 meta-analyses, representing more than 43,000 participants.
right.
The study shows that the small to moderate impairments could include making decisions, suppressing inappropriate responses, learning through reading and listening, the ability to remember what one reads or hears, and the amount of time needed to complete a mental task.
Okay, this is the part I want to go through. Okay, the study found that cannabis, and this is why you have to. It's hard to think of things this way. So the study found that cannabis intoxication leads to small to moderate cognitive impairments in areas including. So this is about, people need to understand, this is about cannabis intoxication. This part. This isn't about like permanent negative effects in these areas. Let's read this again, exactly what it says. The study found that cannabis intoxication leads to small to moderate cognitive impairments in areas including making decisions. Okay, let's look at that one first. When we're looking at making decisions, what do you think an impairment looks like when it comes to making decisions? What comes to mind, Andy? Like what from a decision making perspective, what would an impairment look like?
Well, my first idea for that would be they can't come to a decision, so they can't make the decision. Like they have a hard time choosing, maybe.
Yeah. So what they're saying with this making decisions is that there's something going on. I'm just pointing out at how vague the making decisions things are. It's like, what decisions are we talking about? They're taking more time to consider more things. Are we like, what are we actually talking about?
May Starwalk says, "Why are you trying so hard to defend drug abuse?"
Yeah, I would say I'm not defending drug abuse. So you got your head up your butt on that one.
You zigged when you should have zagged. That wasn't Mace. I just wanted to read it. That was Joshua, but I just wanted to read it in Mace.
So making decisions. So what does that actually look like? And I'm sure they outline this in this study, which they should, and I'd be interested to see that. Suppressing inappropriate responses. Can you inappropriate based on whose standard?
Okay, Travis, but I think you're getting a little bit too stringent here.
This is a scientific presentation being featured on neurosciencenews.com.
Okay, but would you agree that there is...
Hang on. This is a value. Someone has decided what appropriate responses are that should be oppressed or suppressed.
I don't think it's too insane to say that there is a general social zeitgeist of what is an appropriate response.
That's not what it's talking about.
Existing.
If that's what it's talking about, your style of humor, your kind of humor, Andy, if they recorded that, like they might say, oh, this might somehow be linked to his marijuana use.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, so they would have to, but they'd have to demonstrate.
But I don't use marijuana.
But if they're going to list this as something that you want to try to avoid, the thing that they think is an inappropriate response, let's say being truthful to a child about Santa Claus at age 3, let's say.
A traversable philosophy says appropriate responses adhere to linguistic norms.
Describe what a linguistic norm is.
Well, I think I disagree with that too, because in the study or in the article that I read, I guess about the same study, maybe it might be the same study because it's or same article.
There's
it sounds
language. Yeah.
But it mentions that Sorry, let me see if I could find it.
But regardless of what we find, like if it says inappropriate,
language seemed to be unaffected, and they couldn't notice any difference between users and non-users. So I'm guessing that linguistic norms is not what's considered, or else they would have mentioned that.
Like this is literally pseudoscientific stuff that should not be included in this analysis. Suppressing inappropriate responses. By what standard are they inappropriate? This should not be in there. Okay, here's the next one. Learning through reading and listening. Okay, this is something we would be able to measure. Learning through reading and listening. Now, they're saying that the study found that cannabis intoxication leads to small to moderate cognitive impairments in areas of learning through reading and listening. Now, this is another tough one, right? How are we controlling in all the subjects that are involved in this study? How are we controlling? I guess what they could do is they could test them beforehand, and I'm sure they did, and then they would say, how is their learning going now that they are intoxicated? Well, of course, like your learning through reading and listening is going to be affected regardless of what you're intoxicated with, right? Like, well, maybe not regardless. But.
Real quick, Travis, it sounds like I was right that you did not like this.
No, I think this is great. We're going through this right now.
But you don't like the article.
Well, is there a study? Do we actually have the? Oh, okay. The original research is linked here. This is good to go through. These bullet points. This is where when people get angry at scientific communication, the stuff I'm pointing out right now is the thing that pisses people off. Like putting a value judgment in the list of things where people where they're what they're calling impairments. It's not an impairment based on my subjective worldview for someone to be openly truthful and blatant with their humor. But some people might think that that's an impairment. And regardless of what the general mean is or the general attitude is towards certain things, I'm not buying.
How about this? Because this is a quote from Dr. Alexandre Dumas, Associate Clinical Professor of Psychiatry at Université de Montréal. So, we probably don't have to even read the quote, but cannabis use in youth may consequently lead to reduced educational attainment and in adults to poor work performance and dangerous driving.
So it might, right?
Yeah, these consequences may be worse in regular and heavy users.
So he's using the may there where that like some people who use may have this effect, right? Learning through reading and listening, it'll be interesting to see how they demonstrate that. The ability to remember what one reads or hears, cognitive impairments. The time needed to complete a mental task. And again, Andy, the way you read this, is this talking about when someone is intoxicated?
No, it sounds like it's referring to how they act after they're intoxicated.
Yeah. Oh, you mean... Let's see. The study found that cannabis intoxication leads to small cognitive impairments in areas. Because that list is just... the thing preceding that is the study found that cannabis intoxication leads to small to moderate cognitive impairments in areas. So that's referring... That's referring during intoxication.
Okay, but what I read was a systematic review found that cannabis use leads to acute cognitive impairments that may continue past the point of intoxication.
That may.
Although you're right.
Oh, okay.
There is that may again.
Yeah.
But I imagine, and maybe I'm naive for assuming this, that they have that in there because they studied them after intoxication.
Yeah, I don't think we can make that leap. Like, we got to go with exactly what's written.
Well, why else would they be justified to even say this? Because if they just said that,
well, I think because a lot of people,
the whole time they're just studying people while they're high, that would be egregious. Like,
well,
obviously,
I mean, that's going to be part of it, right? They're going to have to study the people when they're high. I want to go quickly to the end of the actual paper here, to the conclusion, and I just want to see if they make any solid. Okay, let's do this. Conclusion. To conclude, meta-analytical data on the acute effects of cannabis use on neurocognitive function have shown that cannabis intoxication leads to small to moderate deficits in numerous cognitive domains, most notably executive functions, verbal learning and memory, and processing speed. Okay, so that's just referring to cannabis intoxication. When you are intoxicated with cannabis, that first paragraph in the conclusion of the paper. So right off the bat in the conclusion, they're talking about while being intoxicated. So these acute impairments are in accordance with the residual effects that have been documented in several meta-analyses, suggesting that the detrimental effects of cannabis persist beyond the period of acute intake. So several measures may be taken to mitigate the cognitive risks of cannabis in the general population. For instance, health professionals should be informed of the potential cognitive risks associated with cannabis use and further diffuse their knowledge to the treating clientele through psychoeducation while screening for problematic patterns of use. And that's great. They should be screening for problematic patterns of use, which they always have. But I think what this paper is arguing is that this is new fuel to suggest to them that, okay, we've now demonstrated that in this study, meta-analytical data on the acute effects of cannabis use on neurocognitive function have shown that cannabis intoxication leads to small to moderate deficits in numerous cognitive domains, most notably. Yeah. So the risks of using marijuana must also include, if this survives the scientific consensus, this paper, potential deficits to executive functions, verbal learning and memory, and processing speed. I think for a lot of people, and I'm going to post this for you guys, by the way. Here's the actual paper. I think for a lot of people, they kind of believe that was already kind of known, you know?
Mace Starwalk says, when I take shitty experiments apart, people just say, so you disagree with the scientists? It's so annoying.
Yeah, well, they shouldn't say that.
Yeah, no, they shouldn't say that. And I think the same people, I think the people who say that are the same people who say, I believe the science.
Yeah, but kind of the lesson here, guys, is like, make sure you don't read in your own anything into the words so that you misunderstand what's being said or concluded. Read it very carefully, and the validity of this will be, have these conclusions actually been demonstrated by what is on offer. And the conclusion, what it's going to be held to, is the exact wording and the exact claims that are made in the conclusion. So when you're reading papers,
in the article I read about this, the idea it seemed to have was that cannabis, the position on it is changing globally to where it's seen as less harmless. And this article seems to be trying to imply that it is not as harmless as people think. But it mentions that.
Yeah, but when you say that, Andy, seems to imply. I
Well,
don't
it
care
does
about
seem to
that
imply.
stuff.
I'm not saying it's correct. I'm saying that's what it's.
Oh no! I'm glad you brought it up. I'm not pissed at you for bringing it up. But it's.
But and it says.
No,
and
you guys, you should not smoke weed and drive. You should not smoke weed. You should treat weed based on the law of the land, which tells you can't smoke weed and drive, at least in Canada. And yes, you do become impaired when you smoke weed compared to your normal state of mind. Some people, like myself, have been prescribed it by their family doctor, and it works really well for some of the the mental health conditions that I have. And these things listed that it's like you might have a slight detriment in this area and that area, those don't change that for me. Like my doctor, when we first looked at this as a potential thing to like kind of smooth out and calm down my sympathetic nervous system, these kind of side effects were brought up, but they weren't quite demonstrated yet in a study. But my doctor would say, well, you might have some issues in these areas while you're high and sometime after. And of course, here's another thing: marijuana can be abused. It can be abused, it says, like any substance. Don't abuse it.
It has risks, especially towards developing minds. Would you say that's correct?
Yeah, that's been demonstrated. So make sure that when you're engaging in these substances, whether they are prescribed, use them as prescribed by your family doctor. And if you're doing this recreationally, be safe and learn some things about it. Don't just go and think that you can do anything and that you're invincible. That's just a tale of every alcoholic out there.
Well, what is a little concerning is, at least according to this article, I'm not sure how accurate this is, but it says that adolescents and young adults are the ones who use cannabis the most.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah.
But wouldn't just regular adults be the best people to do it? I mean.
Oh, you mean this study? Oh, yeah.
No, I mean,
what was the age range, by the way?
I don't know if it said, but
Andy, there are conditions that even a young person, I can think of a scenario where a family practitioner might prescribe cannabis to a younger person. That's all up to the GPs are much better trained. And they understand the full medical workup of the person. They have their file. They understand what's best for them. And these Mind Med is rolling out. I think it's psilocybin tablets now. So there's going to be different medicines, and people should be prepared for to control stress or anxiety, to help control stress, anxiety. Cannabis might be a more frequent option for some people, even young people, and also doing a trial with these psychedelics or hallucinogenics. I don't know how far they're going to go with that, but yeah, I'm glad you brought this up, Andy. This is a really good segment. It's good. It's good for us to look at papers. You guys, again, I linked the paper in the. In the chat here, so please go through it and let me know your thoughts. Everyone who's watching right now, don't forget to drop a comment once this video is published onto the channel. I know you guys are commenting right now and having conversations. Be sure to drop a comment after the video is actually published under the video. We have so few comments once the video is published because you guys have been commenting and working away and having your discussions already, but try to make a comment of what you thought about the show. Any feedback is welcome. Anyways, that's cool. I'm glad we did that.
Yeah.
So why don't we get to our guest? Where's Lexicon at? Lexicon, he's the guy who's gonna come in. He's
Lexicon,
from
if you're
Canada.
watching, please join us. I'll see if I can find him right now.
Yeah. Lexicon, he's from Canada. Lexicon, he's in the room now.
Here he is, yeah.
How's it going, man?
It's going pretty good.
No
the
camera? Show. Are you too shy?
No, I tried setting up a camera, but I couldn't get it going.
Oh, shit, Dick.
He knows that if the world were to see his true face, everyone would fall in love with him. Yes. And he can't risk that kind of chaos.
By the way, you guys, Celebration of Science and Reason tour, before we get to Lexicon, to my left is the poster for Vancouver. It's going to be epic. You can get a ticket for as cheap as like $18, $16 or something around there. Come in, hang out. I'm going to be there with Lawrence Krauss, Sabine Hossenfelder, and Arvin Ash. If you haven't subscribed, by the way, to Arvin Ash's YouTube channel, please do. Oh, how have I not announced this yet? But I am, you know what? Do I want to talk about this right now?
Yes, do it.
Next Wednesday, the Pangburn podcast will be back. Last guest, I believe, was Deepak Chopra. Deepak and I had really interesting discussion, and we had a great Q&A with him. So please check that out. It exists on the channel here. The Quantum. But from a channel I have grown to really love, Debunk the Funk. This biologist, and I want to get his name right. Dr. Wilson. I'll get his first name. We'll do an advertisement for this, and the same as what we always do when we have a new podcast guest coming on. But Dr. Wilson will be coming on. I'm going to be talking to him about his video on John Campbell, titled "The Problem with John Campbell." He's I've been sharing his stuff all over the Pangburn channels and networks, as a guy that I think's got a really good grasp on how to apply skepticism and some really good knowledge base to a lot of these claims that doctors who have their own PhDs, nefarious claims or incorrect claims that some of these doctors have made about COVID vaccines and ivermectin and like all of this stuff. So he's going to be very interesting. If you want to ask him the tough questions, those of you who think, who are on the ivermectin, hydrochloroquine bandwagon, and you want to ask this guy some tough questions. This guy has gone after Joe Rogan. He's gone after John Campbell. He's gone after all of these guys who basically are shit talking the vaccines, and some of the things that they think they know about what's going on with the vaccine scientifically that the scientific consensus has somehow missed. Anyways, this guy Debunked the Funk. Go and follow his channel. He's going to be coming on next Wednesday. It's going to be at 5 p.m. Pacific time, I believe. Again, all of this will be announced. Make sure you're following this channel because I will announce it in a graphic. But he'll be coming to join us, Dr. Wilson. It's going to be a lot of fun. I will be having Sabine Hossenfelder and Lawrence Krauss will be coming back on again, and Arvin Ash will be coming on the podcast as well, and there'll be a lot more guests. Daltsu's actually helping track down some guests, which is great, and thank you to Daltsu for helping. Bal Diablo said right off the bat, like the guy who invented the mRNA vaccine. Malone was one of many people who contributed to the invention of the mRNA vaccines. Malone was not the sole inventor. Anyways, but this will be a good question if you want to challenge Dr. Wilson on this. We will have the Q&A. If you want access to the Q&A, you got to be a Pangburn website subscriber. Go to pang-burn.com/subscription to become a subscriber. Anyways, that's all for that update. We got Lexicon. Lexicon, what's on your mind today?
I was mostly going to show up here and react to some of the things you guys were saying. However, I did actually find something.
Cool.
We recently found potentially one of the steps in how oxygen came to our planet.
Shit.
As I'm sure you're aware, photosynthesis actually is a cycle of oxygen. It needs oxygen in. If you don't have any oxygen to begin with at all, it can't start. You can't just start from pure CO2. Recently, in the paper I just sent you, they found archaea in the ocean that don't require light to produce oxygen. They break down ammonia and release oxygen through a completely different mechanism. And there is, of course, in abiogenesis, a stage in the Earth where we assume the atmosphere was mostly ammonia. It's very possible that this archaea is responsible for the initial kick of oxygen required to allow photosynthesis to ever happen.
Damn. So what has been the demonstration? Is there a paper?
Yeah, so what they did was, first off, this archaea is exceptionally common in the ocean. 1 in 5 of all microbes in the ocean are this particular strain of archaea. And what they did was they put it in an environment with access to ammonia, CO2, and a few other trace elements in the saline water, and then they ensured that there was no oxygen at all. They used up the initial oxygen dissolved in the water completely, and then began producing their own. And this leveled off to 20%, which was originally there, drops off, and then it rises again. So they go into a stage where they begin producing lots of oxygen, and then they reconsume it.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's cool. So, and are you satisfied that this has been demonstrated? Andy, don't mute Mace. Let him chat. I'm watching.
I didn't mute him. I just deleted the comments that annoyed me.
Yeah, don't do that, or I will smack you.
Okay, look. I got rid of one, and then he commented on that, and I was like, okay, well now I have to get rid of that one too, just to mess with him.
Actually, you know what? I don't think you need to be a mod on there.
I probably shouldn't be. I told you that the second you gave me that power.
Yeah. Okay, so that's cool.
It also has a secondary byproduct of this oxygen production, and that is it produces free nitrogen. So it might not only just be responsible for oxygen, but the vast majority of nitrogen in our atmosphere as well. This has actually been a mystery in science for an exceptionally long time. We don't know where the nitrogen on our planet comes from, the free N2.
What do you suspect?
Well, what it seems to be doing, the way it seems to be producing oxygen is it's breaking down ammonia into N3, then N3O into N320, and then all the way down to NO. So it's liberating oxygen from an ammonia molecule by first turning it into a nitrate. So it's taking oxygen from the water. I assume this must produce a small amount of hydrogen as well.
Oh, give me 2 seconds. OBS.
I got other papers for this as well.
Oh, okay. There we go. We're back. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I always thought the origin of oxygen was magic.
Yeah, I assume that was the case as well until this paper. I was quite thoroughly impressed.
Yeah, that's good. That's cool. So, what do you just before we get to Andy? What do you? Is there any way we're going to be able to utilize this finding into something that's really going to help us, or do you think it's more just it was an interesting question that we wanted to answer? Are people talking about what this might lead to, or?
Yeah, so some of the hypotheses I've heard is this might be a path to producing effective fertilizers. Because one of the things that's exceptionally hard to produce is nitrate molecules in an efficient manner. And nitrate is one of the things plants can use to burn. You can produce it with basic, like the way bacteria produce it, as a waste product, but it's very hard to filter out of the water that way in a usable form. This this can do it in environments that are far more extreme and in much higher concentrations. They have an extreme resistance to nitrates because it's their food source. It's not their waste product. It's the thing they're burning. So you could actually get it high enough in a concentration that you could take out the nitrates, and all you got to do is keep feeding it ammonia. It's a fantastic bacteria. It'd be great, or archaea, if we could isolate it.
Okay, so okay, cool. Like, so we isolate it. What do you think's the biggest, the biggest door that it might open?
Aside from understanding how our atmosphere came to be, I think this might be an effective future technology potentially for generating oxygen and nitrogen. If you can store nitrogen and oxygen much more compressed in other chemical compounds that you could potentially feed to these bacteria and then liberate. So if you were doing a crazy trek, let's say 100 years in space travel, you're not just going to recycle the gaseous form. It takes up too much space.
Right.
If you can recycle it in and out of a medium, it's
Okay.
far more efficient.
Yeah. Well, damn, that's exciting. Give me that A1 sauce, dude. Oh, that's Andy.
He gave
Cool.
me he told me something and he didn't give me the sauce. I need the sauce.
Well,
I wanted to also get your take, Lexicon. We were talking about the NHL player Jake Virtanen on getting he's being charged with sexual assault, and I don't know exactly any of the details of what the allegations are, but what do you think of how we need to treat these issues?
Innocent until proven guilty, because very often charges, especially in the Canadian system, are laid specifically so that way the prosecutor has powers they normally wouldn't have, so they can go after evidence.
Right.
They can't just knock on your door and be like, I think you did this thing. Hello, sir. They have to press charges. Your lawyers need to be aware that this is happening, and then they have access to.
Yeah, and that's what a
Judicial
lot
action.
of people like. This is like this journalist Jeff Patterson online. It's like we didn't even get there yet. I was just talking about how there's some sloppy language at play, and then he just muted me. Apparently, you can do that on Twitter. But yeah, we hadn't even gotten to that point yet. Like that just because charges are laid does not mean that there's anything like sorted out yet or found out or a certain standard of collected evidence. It's
I think the worst of all is when charges like this are laid, especially of this nature, it's going to destroy the person's career regardless of how this shakes out. Because this is only going to be interesting for a few days in the news cycle. And by the time it's over, I doubt anyone's going to be talking about this at all.
Yeah. Well, if how much noise will there be if he's found not guilty, versus how much noise there will be if he's found guilty,
I think generally speaking, if the person is found not guilty and it isn't beneficial to the individuals who want to make I forget the term for it, but when you're making a point of hitting this person for this, those people will remain silent, and it won't get the same type of traction as when it was first occurred. You see this with Bill Cosby. When he was pronounced innocent, I didn't even know for 6 months.
Yeah.
But I heard about him getting in trouble every day for 4 weeks straight after it happened.
Right.
He was innocent?
I mean, according to the people in the court.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, like, has he not technically been found innocent of? Is it all
Wasn't-
charges?
I don't want to just speak,
Let's sort this out.
I believe he got out on court problems, not the facts, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, because wasn't there like overwhelming evidence and like a huge number of women or something like that? Because people were like sure that he did it. Like
I'm
that
pretty
he
sure there was something in the pudding. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, like people were like positive that he did all these things. And it was like this like, tragedy because, it's Bill Cosby.
So Bill Cosby is free but not exonerated. Faces an uncertain future.
By the way, am I coming through clear for you guys?
Yeah.
Yep. What was the justification for releasing him from prison?
Yeah, I'm trying to look at this. His lawyer says it's a victory for Black America.
What?
Well, he has maintained his innocence the entire time, right?
No, this is just another example of if you're famous enough, it doesn't matter that you're black. Like,
Uh,
The Supreme Court threw out his convictions in 2018 on charges of drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Constead 2004 when she was a Temple University employee. The New York Times has an article on it.
okay.
People say about this, the worst part of it is the hypocrisy. But I think that's kind of weird. I think the worst part would be the raping. And
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the reason he was let out was because prosecutors violated Mr. Cosby's rights by reneging on an apparent promise to not charge him. The court majority ruled.
And he admitted giving this is important because people say they leave out something. So if you read just this first line, admitted giving quaaludes to women he was pursuing for sex. The sentence is not done. Admitted giving quaaludes to women he was pursuing for sex, but not without their knowledge. So that's what he maintained. That was his position.
Interesting. Yeah, so the Supreme Court, it looks like, got him out based on a technicality based around how he was treated in the courts, not based on the facts presented in the trial.
Okay, I hate hearing stuff like that. Why does that exist? The facts don't change even if he was treated in any kind of way. We should still... What? So it's like, oh, but some bullshit happened, so let's ignore the endless evidence and let's let him go. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
The split court found that Cosby was unfairly prosecuted because his previous district attorney had promised the comedian, once known as, quote, America's dad, that he wouldn't be charged over Constand's accusations. Cosby was charged... Oh, man. The previous district attorney had promised the comedian, once known as... Wow. Charged by another prosecutor who claimed he wasn't bound by that agreement.
Yeah, you're not bound by that. What? Who cares?
Well, basically, it's double dipping in the court system in the States. A prosecutor can't come after you for something that you've already made a deal with the state on. So
double dipping is what Cosby did, and there's the evidence of that. Why are we supposed to ignore that? Because what is this? God.
In the same way, you can't be tried and found innocent for the same thing twice. Basically, is what happened here. A prosecutor got information from Cosby, agreed not to prosecute him on this. A new prosecutor comes in, prosecutes him anyways.
So apparently this is extremely rare. And can Cosby ever be tried again? It's highly unlikely. A lot of legal experts
but so throughout this whole process, throughout the bullshit of the promising and the other people not agreeing to that promise, throughout all of that, did the facts ever change as a result?
From what I can read,
the facts of what?
Did it ever? Was it a fact that he did this, or that there was a large amounts of evidence that he did these things? And did that evidence just doesn't exist anymore? I'm being facetious. The answer is no. Reality did not warp.
But Andy, a court, a different court setting, a different jury may make a different decision, right? If the circumstances were different, that's what they're taking into consideration. Like, they don't have any direct proof that he did X, but the amount of allegations, the arguments that were made in court,
they still have the evidence, and I don't understand the necessary. Like, this is where the term legalist comes from, when you're being like a stickler and following really weird rules.
Well, it's either in the law or it's not, right?
If this is in the law, it's stupid. It's a child could have written that. But if you promise to not charge him, but then the other guy doesn't follow it, then it's not fair, and you can ignore this stuff. No, that's dumb. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, tell us what you really think, Andy.
Well, I am hurt that this is Bill Cosby, because I wasn't a huge fan of Bill Cosby, but I did like Bill Cosby. Everybody liked Bill Cosby.
Well, you know, the women, they like a little drop in their drink, you see.
Yeah.
Your turn,
Cosby
Andy. I want to hear your Bill Cosby. Don't put on the pedo glasses.
He always wears sunglasses. They are not pedo glasses. They're brilliant scientist glasses. The glasses of a scientist.
Okay, if you're going to talk science right now, I'm going to put on these. Okay.
Look.
Hit me with some science.
We need to start capturing animals and using them to power machines and robots.
You need to get way closer to your camera when you do this.
And when we have the robots, we need to use them to find the Chaos Emeralds. And if that fucking hedgehog gets in the way, we just kill him. So that's what these glasses are. They're the glasses of a scientist who's just trying to make the world a better place with his empire. But some blue guy keeps stopping.
There's no heaven.
If the future is twisted in such a way, I become a director at Disney or any major studio, I am coming back for you, Andy, so you can play Dr. Robotnik. That was amazing.
Thank you. No, I could be hit. You need to get an overweight guy with a big mustache to play him as adult, but I'll play like young Robotnik. Like I would happily like Robotnik like at the university. At the university or something, and like his papers keep getting rejected, and he's like, he's just going crazy. I'll be him. I'll be Joker Robotnik, like right at the beginning of his downfall.
Yes.
As for the Cosby thing, well, you put the pill in the pudding, and then the girl go to sleep. But that's hacky. It's hacky. I never practice. I just do.
You don't believe in work.
I don't believe in work. I'm averse to all kinds of work. Travis, even doing this show just makes me like lurch because it takes effort. But I'm grateful for the opportunity.
So, what else did you have on your mind, Lexicon?
Something that's been bothering me over the last couple days is the nature of the current president of the United States seems to be he says one thing and then his staff have to backpedal aggressively to say no, that's not what he meant.
We gotta start eating the babies. We gotta for the virus.
You see, the problem is shipping it on a pressure. Well,
back when I was a kid, you know, you could just touch a woman without her permission all the time. And it wasn't, they didn't make much a big deal out of it. And now with Me Too, and I remember you could go down the street and you could buy a biscuit for $1. And now,
see, this is the problem. This right here, I don't know if that's a quote from Trump or Biden.
Trump
he said biscuit. He said biscuit,
like,
not golden biscuit. So that should be your hint.
Believe me. I remember when I was a kid. All right, and this is true. You could buy $20 for $5. All right, and then when when Obama came in, I don't know. That's true. See, that's played out. Doing impressions of Trump is played out.
Wrong. I'm sorry. Your Trump impression is absolutely terrible. Please work on it.
Your Trump impression is frankly in the tubes. I don't know where you're getting this idea. My hair's flinging all over the place. I got to make a speech. We're going to win. We're going to win bigly. And people are going to bow down to our administration and understand that we are here to make America great again.
Okay, but in all seriousness, what has been really bothering me is...
This is something I want to point out real quick, and Tristan's right about this. He says, I have seen many videos of Biden touching little girls suspiciously. Correct. I agree with that.
Oh,
not just little girls, little boys too. He just like sniffing. It's weird. But what's really been bothering me is because of this, honestly, freckless old man who doesn't really know where he is, speaking as the figurehead of an entire superpower nation of the world. He says things that should never be said. If you're a person in a position of power, you should never say, if you invade Ukraine, I'm not going to do anything about it.
Well, if you invade, I remember when I was... I remember one time.
I remember when I was gonna invade Ukraine when I was president. Sir, you are president. What?
Sir, you're president right now.
Oh,
yeah.
What?
So shortly after he made that statement, you
probably don't want to say that. I agree with you, Lexicon.
Shortly after he made that statement, of course, his staff were immediately like, "No, that's not what he meant. There was like a glitch in the thing. He didn't mean that." Well, immediately after that, China was like, "Oh, well, but we heard that anyways, and if you do that, we're invading Taiwan." So, I start hearing these things around the world, and it's just like, I'm sitting here in good old America's hat, and I'm like, just please don't start World War III by saying stupid things. Please. Just don't do it.
Did you feel that same way about Trump?
The difference between Biden and Trump was Trump wasn't going to start World War III, but he might start the nuclear holocaust. It's a slightly different scale because I could totally see in this modern day and age a proxy war between Russia and America starting in the Ukraine. That's totally possible. They don't necessarily need to start throwing around nukes and fighting people on a worldwide scale, but it's still going to be a major conflict. And then if China sees that as weakness, I mean, America has to defend Taiwan. It's the semiconductor capital of the world.
I just want to do a disclaimer real quick about my impression of Joe Biden. It is not based at all how I organically think his voice sounds. It is more based. It is an impression of Joe Biden done by a much funnier comedian named Nick Mullen, who hosts a podcast called Come Town.
Andy, do you know what's better than hearing your actual jokes and impersonations? You explaining them.
Well, for you, Travis, I would say having sex with men.
There we go again. Andy's been talking about balls, testicles, semen, penises. Like he's always talking about male genitalia.
I have yet to join the Discord, enter a conversation that Andy is in, and not hear reference to male genitalia within the first 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah. Everybody pick on me.
We're not picking on you. We're just noticing a fact of reality and addressing it to your attention.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a leader, you want to know that your leader can think out their arguments, can understand what's going on around them, can explain things in depth, not just like this like general understanding of something, like understanding the details and how systems work, how things function. I know that's asking a lot, but it's your leader, right?
Honestly, I don't even mind having a leader that can't do any of that, so long as they understand how the perception of other people looking at what they're saying matters.
Their words. You have to understand that your words matter, and this is what I was critiquing. Jordan Peterson for. A lot of people are like, "Well, Jordan Peterson isn't giving direct, health advice to people." It's like, well, he's talking about health-related things, and some people are going to say, "I'm going to do whatever Jordan Peterson's going to do because I think he's the smartest guy on the planet." So, for anyone who's a public figure. Make sure people should hold you to your words. So be clear about your the words you say and the things that you mean. That's not to say you can't make a mistake. Just if you do make a mistake and there's a misconception or confusion, just you have the platform in order to make sure that your message is clear, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Especially being the president of the United States.
Although here is 2 Canadians and an American criticizing Joe Biden when Trudeau is our current premier.
Yeah.
Lexicon, if you criticize me, you are criticizing all the good people
Justin,
of Canada.
You're clogging up the line here. I was...
Travis, you need to stop being so aggressive when you speak.
Yeah, I'm not inspired by him as a leader one bit. Not one bit.
When I was a young child, my parents had me castrated.
When I was going to school, I did blackface. I really thought that for Canada, we were in it. This is what we wanted as Canadians. But they, and I never thought that I could ever be the leader of such a soft, kind nation by ever having my blackface, brought to the surface. But people still voted because they believe in a strong Canada, bilingual Canada. There's my impersonation.
For a really long time, I thought there was only 3 photos of Trudeau in blackface, but yesterday I found a 4th.
Oh no, they're everywhere.
There's actually a calendar coming out.
Well, it was funny because you can tell how it's definitely not just a different photo from the same night. He's definitely done this on 4 occasions.
Oh yeah. No,
I'll be upfront about that. I have no problem with people changing the color of their skin to look more like the person they're dressing up as. I have no problem with that. If they're doing something like, if they were to put blackface on and start acting retarded because they're blackface, yeah, then you're being racist. But if you want,
Travis,
if I wanted to look like Barack Obama and I didn't make, and I wanted to dress up as Barack Obama, I would, not that I want to, but I would darken my skin. And I know a lot of people get triggered over that and they think it's immoral somehow, but that's part of dress up. That's part of playing. That's the thing that people who are against that are against play. They want to stifle it. They see a little kid dressing up, like let's say a little Chinese, let's say half Chinese, half white boy dress up as Barack Obama, and he's got blackface on, and people think that this is racist. No, you're full of shit. That has nothing to do with racism.
I'm sorry, my sir. I gotta apologize. My race is simply not a costume. You need to stop immediately.
Yeah, you can turn dressing up as another race racist. You can do that. You definitely can do that.
Yeah, well, when but
it's just not
right?
default. It's not by default racist.
Travis,
whoever wants to challenge me on that, join us on Discord. Send me a DM. Tell me how much you hate me for holding that position. But that's my current belief.
Jack says Justin Lil Bitch Trudeau.
I support that message. Yeah,
I think. Let's talk about what we might like about Justin Trudeau.
Nah, let's just bully him relentlessly.
Actually, he does occasionally. I have noticed it. None of them seem to stick with me because he just makes so many friggin' mistakes, and it's easier to remember negative things. But there has been a few times where I was like, that is a shockingly, surprisingly good policy from Justin Trudeau.
Like when
Who
it
told
comes
him
to
say
energy.
that? Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a
like
few
I
things.
think he's been pretty. I think the Liberals have been pretty good with regards to the energy sector.
Well, I mean, wind and solar are terrible ideas, but nuclear and especially reorganizing the infrastructure so our power transmission is more efficient is fantastic.
I think Justin looks extremely handsome.
Mace is all about analyzing photos today. Well, guys, Lexicon, thank you so much for coming on. Yeah, we're gonna let Lexicon go, and then Andy's gonna introduce his new segment. So Lexicon, thank you very much. We'll hope to have you on again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks.
See, I told you, Travis, that he wouldn't suck. I know you kept saying, oh, Lexicon, he's like the worst.
I'm gonna drop him down in the tavern. He was still hanging. So Andy, what do you got? What's our new segment here?
Okay, so first off, Mace once again says he is the best looking world leader. So he's really holding a torch.
What about Markle?
So here is my new segment idea. I call it Strange Phenomena.
Strange Phenomena. I like this. Yeah.
And for our this is what I planned on doing for our last show.
Okay.
The Kentucky Meat Shower.
Okay.
So between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. for several minutes on March 3rd, 1876, in Olympia Springs, Bath County, Kentucky, chunks of red meat fell from the sky in a 100 by 50 yard area near the settlement of Olympia Springs in Bath County, Kentucky. The meat that fell was approximately 2 by 2 inches, with at least one being 4 by 4 inches. The most popular explanation for this occurrence was that a group of vultures vomited up the meat after something startled them into taking flight, causing the discarded meat to appear to rain down. But the meat itself was never solidly identified. But among suggestions in the reports were beef, lamb, venison, bear, horse, and even human. So this event was witnessed by a Mrs. Crouch. She was making soap on her porch when she reported these chunks of meat falling from the sky. And according to her, she was 40 steps from her house when the meat started to hit the ground. And both her and her husband believed the meat was a sign from God. The meat appeared to be beef, but according to Scientific American, 2 men who tasted it, so 2 guys who were willing to taste it, judged it to be lamb or deer. And then the local hunter, B.F. Ellington, so everybody has an opinion on what
I
it
love
is.
how things worked back then. It's like, well, what is it? Let's go measure it. No. Let me taste it. I'll tell
What's
you
it
what that
taste
is.
like?
So the
What's it taste
first
like?
guy tastes it. Yeah, it tastes like lamb. Second guy tastes it. Hell no, that's horse.
I could go for some sky meat. Yeah.
Sky meat.
So local hunter B.F. Ellington identified it as bear meat.
Oh, okay.
And then writer Leopold Brandeis in The Sanitarian identified the substance as not being meat at all, but as a type of cyanobacteria called nostoc, also known as star jelly, troll's butter, witch's butter, and witch's jelly. So Brandeis gave this sample to Newark Scientific Association, and this led to a letter from Dr. Alan McLean Hamilton, which appears in the medical record, and he stated that the meat was lung tissue from either a horse or a human infant.
Damn.
And the structure of the organ, he's quoted as saying this, the structure of the organ in these 2 cases being almost identical, a human infant or a horse. And 2 samples of the meat were identified as lung tissue, 3 as muscle, and 2 as cartilage.
Shit.
And an interesting detail to this is, like 9 days later, as noted by prolific strange phenomena writer Charles Fort, he's the source of the term Fortean to describe strange things, Charles Fort. A similar occurrence was also reported in London. Fort noted that red corpuscles with a vegetable look to them fell in London. And my hypothesis about this phenomena is this, and it's a bit close to what Mr. and Mrs. Crouch believed. I think it's possible that in heaven, an angel pulled a lever in the control room of heaven, sending unexpected mana to rain down on a random location on earth, like in Exodus, how God gave the Israelites manna to eat. This could have been by accident. Maybe there was a malfunction. Maybe the angels snuck in there and they felt like messing with people. Who knows? But that is my story, and I'm sticking to it. That's my take on that.
Damn. Okay, so what's our best explanation here outside of the woo-woo weird stuff? The religious
Well, the
stuff?
best explanation they gave was all we have is the popular explanation of people suspecting it was vultures coughing it up.
So what about someone who had a catapult set up far in the distance and is launching meat at this guy's fucking house?
No such catapult was found. Maybe if we investigated, we would have found it.
Let's play the game of other things it could be. Like a person, like literally, I'm serious. Like someone creates an apparatus that they launch this shit through the air, a huge trebuchet from very far away, and they hide it in the bush or whatever. Like, you know, my question would be, how much did they really investigate this? Yeah,
I think their main concern was testing the meat. Like, right. I think they
meat was.
Yeah, they wanted to know what the meat was.
They probably wanted to make sure
right.
it wasn't human. Like,
yeah, well, they think it could. They weren't clear on that. They didn't know if it was or not. And could you imagine being the guys who ate it? And they were like, yeah, well, we think it might be a human infant. It could be horse, but it might also be.
It's like both of those options aren't very good.
Yeah. Well, you'd rather it be horse meat.
Yeah. Would you?
I would. I don't know about you. Your weird atheist morality, or lack thereof. So I also had another. This is the one I planned for tonight. Where would you like to hear this one?
Yeah.
All right, this one is also very
good. That was good. That's fucking interesting.
If it rains baby meat, I'm out of here, says a traversable philosophy. I'm with you on that. And Jack says it's pagan ritualists' orgy leftovers. Oh, Tristan, Zeus is up to mischief. It could be.
Yep.
You know, in one story, Zeus got a woman pregnant by literally turning into a golden shower. Like he literally turned into a cloud and rained bits of gold, like solid gold, and that was how he got her pregnant. I can't remember who that was. I think that might have been like.
Look, if you can get a girl pregnant from a golden shower, you know you're a god.
See, that's Zeus makes weird choices every time he decides to get a woman pregnant. He never turns into a human version of himself. He always turns into like an animal or some weird.
Why is he obsessed with the animal sex, the bestiality?
Look, I got nothing against Zeus. I don't want to get struck by lightning. Once I think I had a nice conversation with Zeus. But he's a hound dog. And I don't think he would deny that. His poor wife, Hera. But you know what that's like, Travis, you know, always cheating on a woman, you know. You told me about how that's your experience.
Oh, you're such a dick.
So anyway, strange phenomena, issue number 2. Jeff. And I'm spelling that G-E-F. Jeff.
Geff?
So, no, it's pronounced Jeff.
And they spelled it G-E-F? Get the
Yes.
This is where we
That's
need
great.
Scott here.
So-
Get the fuck out of here with that.
Right off the bat, it's strange.
Hold
So,
on.
Also,
Hold on.
also known as the Dalby Spook, Jeff was an allegedly talking mongoose, which was claimed to live in the farmhouse of the Irving family. A talking mongoose. So,
Like, could it say
and this-
one word, or what's the claim?
oh, it's fully supernatural in the claim. Full on supernatural. I have some great
I
quotes
love
from
humanity.
it.
Okay.
I have some great alleged quotes from it. But while I was researching this, I will say real quick, there are claims of animals who are allegedly able to say some things, and these have been verified. Like there's a seal that could talk. I can't remember what its name was. Look it up. They have a recording of it right on the Wikipedia page. It is creepy as fuck. It's not cool that it can talk, in my opinion.
When dogs and cats do the "I love you,"
Yeah.
like that's freaky.
It's
like they
basically
obviously
that.
don't know what they're saying. They don't understand
Yeah.
the concept.
No, it's
of
fully
language.
it's fully mimicry, but it's creepy. So the Irvings farm was located on the Isle of Man, near a small settlement called Dalby, which is also referred to as a hamlet. The small settlement. Do you know that? I didn't know that.
Very good.
So
I knew
in
that just because
September-
of the strategy war game Settlers, I think it's called.
So, in September 1931, the Irving family claimed that they heard persistent scratching, rustling, and vocal noises behind their farmhouse's wooden panels that sounded like a ferret, a dog, and even a baby. There's a lot of "and even a baby" in there.
Yeah.
So, the Irvings claimed that the creature introduced itself as Jeff and said it was a mongoose born in New Delhi, India, in 1852.
It said this.
And it said this, according to them. And according to the 13-year-old daughter of the family, Voirey, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, Voirrey, Voirey,
Okay.
Jeff was the size of a small rat, had yellowish fur and a large bushy tail. And the Irvings said that Jeff described himself, this is a quote from him, as an extra, extra clever mongoose, an earthbound spirit, and a ghost in the form of a mongoose. That's the weirdest one to me. A ghost in the form of a mongoose. Because that makes me picture
That's
like a
weird.
dead person, but who's taking on a mongoose shape for some reason. So they also claim Jeff once told them, this is kind of a cool line actually, that Jeff once told them, "I am a freak. I have hands and I have feet, and if you saw me, you'd faint. You'd be petrified, mummified, turned into stone or a pillar of salt." So that makes me think, they weren't seeing his true appearance. The implication is that if they saw how he really looked, they would be horrified. So that adds a level of spookiness to the story. And among the various claims that the Irvings made about Jeff was that he guarded their house and informed them if any guest or unfamiliar dog was approaching. They also said that if anyone forgot to put the fire out at night, Jeff would do it. Jeff would wake people up whenever they overslept. He would get rid of any mice, so he would act sort of like the cat of the house, but he would rather scare them away. He would avoid trying to kill the mice. He would rather scare them away. And the Irvings claim that they fed Jeff biscuits, chocolates, and bananas, which they left on a saucer that they hung from the ceiling, and he would take it, but only when he thought no one was watching. So he was a little bashful about it. And Jeff, yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to read that. Do you have more on that, on Jeff?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So Jeff would go with them whenever they went to the market, but stayed hidden on the other side of the hedges, all the while talking nonstop. And several other people claim to have heard Jeff's voice, and 2 others even claim to have seen him outside the family. And footprints, stains, and hairs were claimed to be evidence of Jeff. but these were determined to belong to the Irvings' sheepdog. And the mother, Margaret, and the daughter, Voire, left their home in 1945 after the death of James Irving, father to Voire and husband to Margaret. And reportedly, they had to sell the farm because it had a reputation of being haunted. And in 1946, Leslie Graham, an actor who had bought their farm, actually claimed to the press that he shot and killed Jeff. And the body was displayed by Graham. However, it was much larger than Jeff was described as, and it was also black and white in color. So Voire Irving, the daughter, commented on the body, saying she was certain that it was not Jeff. And she died in 2005. And in an interview published late in her life, she maintained that Jeff was not something that she made up. So she maintained that this was correct, and this was all fact. And my hypothesis is that the claims made by the Irvings are 100% correct, and that Jeff existed, was who he said he was, and is still alive, or in whatever form of existence you could describe him as today.
Okay. That's super interesting. A traversable philosophy says mongooses do make weird sounds you can interpret as language. I've dropped a link in response to the story Andy has told me. The link is to a journal entry of shared psychotic disorder. So shared psychotic disorder is a rare disorder characterized by sharing a specific delusion among two or more people in a close relationship. The inducer, primary, who has a psychotic disorder with delusions, influences another individual or more, induced secondary, based on a delusional belief. It is commonly seen among two individuals, but in rare cases can include larger groups. This activity outlines the presentation and management of shared psychotic disorder and highlights the role of the interprofessional team in improving the care of patients with this condition. So I suggest looking, it sounds like that this could be one of the explanations, or like Andy said, it's of course possible that we had a talking mongoose on our hand.
Well, not just a talking mongoose, a self-described freak and a ghost in the form of a mongoose, whose true form we have not seen. And if we see it, we'll be horrified.
A mongoose on fleek, a freak in the sheets. Wiggity wiggity. But yes, look into shared psychotic disorder. And yeah, I give you guys the link there. Well,
I believe in Jeff.
What's that? You believe in Jeff?
I believe in Jeff.
I kind of, I want Jeff to be real. He might be
obviously
a killer. If he is.
But here's the thing. Well, no matter what we believe, I do think it's safe to say they believed he existed.
It sounds like it. Unless they're shykesters, right?
Unless, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
a lot of people are shykesters, right? They make shit up.
I think it is not so likely that if he doesn't exist, it wasn't just a scam. It was like a shared delusion sort of thing.
Jack says Jeff is a delusional.
He spelled that super wrong.
Trusty Ape says, could it have been a little person in furry costume?
That would be a really, really... They said it was the size of a small mouse. It'd be a really small person.
Dude, that would have been a fucked up thing to be... If they were, in fact, experiencing this, that's fucking crazy.
That would be scary. That would be like more disturbing if it was just a really small dude just in a costume messing with them for no reason.
That's really weird. Okay, Andy, great shit, awesome stuff, guys. Andy killed it. Thanks so much to Lexicon for stopping by. I love the new segment, Andy. It's cool. It's fun.
I love this topic, and I hopefully I'll be able to find more that I think would be good for the show.
Jack says, "Go F yourself, Andy." Jack, I couldn't agree more. Everyone join us in the tavern for the post show. Again, the Pangburn podcast will be airing live on Wednesday with Dr. Wilson, and we're gonna be talking about COVID vaccines and all kinds of stuff on that show. So don't miss that one. go out and get your tickets for a Celebration of Science and Reason tour. Let's have some fun. Let's celebrate science. There's been a lot of people crapping on the scientific method, and we rely on it. It's our best way of determining what is going on in reality. So, Andy, thank you so much. And everyone else, thank you for engaging in the chat. Make sure you drop a like before you leave. Share this stream. Of course, make sure you're subscribed and ring the notification bell so you get notified when we go live on the show. And as always, let art and science inspire. Thanks, Andy.